So this is what I'm going to call a think aloud, read aloud for the selection Wagon Train at Dusk. This selection is an example of a nonfiction narrative. It's a type of writing in which the author tells a true story. This type of writing you will develop in the performance-based assessment at the end of the unit. So this is something way different than what we did in 5th grade. As you read, look at the way the author describes events and experiences. Mark the text to help you answer this question. What descriptive details make this narrative realistic and memorable? So I would suggest that you have your highlighter or some kind of pencil or something. And as I'm doing this read aloud, we're looking for descriptive details that make this feel realistic and memorable. Sometimes you just have to laugh, I tell my daughter, who is having an especially bad day. She lost her favorite bracelet. She turned in the wrong homework assignment, and she just found out she wouldn't be playing Marshmallow 2 in the class play. Oh, you wouldn't understand, Sarah says sulkily. Now, that's a realistic detail because I hear kids say that all the time. I ask her if I've ever told her the story of the diorama. Yes, Dad, more than once, she says. That doesn't stop me. When I was in 6th grade, I say in my storyteller voice, we had to make shoebox dioramas of a scene from American history. That is also a pretty realistic detail. If you don't remember what a diorama is, it's when you take a shoebox and you decorate the inside to kind of go along with a story. I decided to do a wagon train traveling across the Great Plains in the mid-1800s. Sarah pretends she isn't rolling her eyes. Oh, that's definitely a realistic detail right there. But I keep going. I wanted it to be great, a diorama to end all dioramas. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be on the local news. But what I really wanted was to show up George Nunez, I say. George and I had been in the same class since 4th grade. We were pretty evenly matched when it came to test scores and homework, but for hands-on projects, there was no one like George, which also could be pronounced Jorge, which I should probably be pronouncing it Jorge because his last name is also Hispanic, so I'm going to go with Jorge. He always came up with these unique creations, beautifully conceived and executed. Jorge's mom and dad were architects, and architects are people who design buildings and houses. So maybe he had a leg up, but who knows? If someone says they have a leg up, that means they have some kind of advantage, something that makes something easier for them. Sarah shrugs in sympathy, which I take as permission to continue. As soon as I heard Jorge announce that he was making a shoebox diorama of a log cabin, I decided to go one better. That means to do something better than what he was doing. I'd create a fleet of, I do not know how to pronounce this word, Conestoga, and a fleet means a group of wagons in a circle formation around a campfire at dusk, which means at sunset, with miniature people and horses and dogs made of pipe cleaners and children running around playing hoops. It would be a masterpiece. And that's just how it turned out. A masterpiece. I carried it upstairs to my room, and that night I went to sleep with a smile on my face, imagining Jorge's reaction. Then, I go on, in the middle of the night I was jolted awake by a ripping sound. My heart stopped. I felt sick. I know that sound, I thought. There was no mistaking it. Lucy was demolishing my masterpiece. So we don't know who Lucy is yet, but whoever Lucy is, it's like tearing his project apart. You couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be. I lay there in stupor of self-pity, which just means like an, oh, I don't know what to do moment, and the sense of nothing in the world would ever be right again. The dog ate my diorama. So Lucy is the dog, I thought, and I pictured myself saying this in class. I pictured the hoots and goughs and hollers, which are just sounds. I pictured my teacher's puzzled expression as she tried to work out if I was being serious. I make the expression myself, and Sarah smiles. So Dad's trying to be a funny guy in a way. Then I said it out loud. The dog ate my diorama. It was funny, actually. And the more I said it, the funnier it got. I started laughing, and I laughed until my sides hurt. I couldn't stop laughing. And then, Sarah says, knowing what will come next. Well, I say, I picked up all the pieces and put them in the box, took the whole thing to school. I called it Wagon Train after a tornado. The teacher loved it. Everyone enjoyed my story. I think Jorge was actually jealous. Well, I think that's a pretty interesting idea. The dog tore everything apart, so he had to make his project work. So tornadoes tear everything apart. So he made it look like a tornado had just happened. Sarah gives a reluctant smile. She's like she's supposed to. So, she says, remembering that there's a lesson in there somewhere. You learned to laugh at bad things, right? Shake my head. Nope, I tell her. I learned that some things aren't so bad. Now, I do know we did not do some more of those realistic details, but I am sure that you can go up here and find some more to make it seem realistic. Like, what is something that you feel you might have done? Have you ever pictured yourself saying something in class? If you have, do that. Have you ever pictured someone or students making sounds at you, or your teacher looking confused? Those are all types of things that you can highlight or underline. So that is it for now. I will be back to help you go over the next assignments.